Welcome, everyone. It's Cannabis News. I'm your host, Joe Klare. It's January 22nd, 2020. The show is brought to you, as always, by the Marijuana Times. Find us at marijuanatimes.org. Click the video tab there to find the show. A lot of great articles as well. marijuanatimes.org. Today we're talking about CBD in New York, also recreational legalization in New York, and the battle over Florida's adult use ballot measure, which is going to happen in 2020. Now it's been pushed to 2022. Well, they're battling it out in the courts right now in the lead up to that. So all of that is coming up. But first, of course, Cannabis News is brought to you by Natureside, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Grow safe and poison-free with Natureside. Don't use harmful chemicals or banned pesticides. Instead, use Natureside. It's much, much better than the yucky stuff a lot of growers are putting on what people are going to be ingesting. That's crazy. Don't do that. If you are doing it, stop it. Thank you, Natureside, nature-side.com. This first story is by Andrew Ward at marijuanatimes.org. New York's recent CBD bill fails to address edibles, falling in line with other states. CBD edibles were banned in New York City in February of 2019, which caused a momentary panic among businesses in the 5 boroughs. With little warning time, small businesses feared losing their product and revenue. Eventually, the city relented, imposing a window before the ban would subsequently take place. Little additional clarity came in the months after. Later that summer, lawmakers urged the FDA, as well as the Department of Health and Human Services, to release its rules. So far, little has materialized. The most notable federal-level movement since then has been the U.S. Department of Agriculture's draft version of its domestic hemp production program. New York Governor Cuomo provided the Empire State with additional clarity via a bill in 2019 in December, which contained further details on the state's CBD market. The problem is it does not cover edibles. The governor said the hemp industry, in a statement, in New York is exploding, and with that growth comes a responsibility to regulate the industry in a way that helps ensure its long-term viability and protects consumers. By establishing a regulatory framework for producing and selling hemp and hemp extract, we can set the industry on a path to continued growth in a smart, safe way that empowers both farmers and consumers. Edibles were excluded from the bill without addressing the matter. Cuomo continues to leave the state's edibles producers and retailers in limbo. Abe Cohn, manager partner of Cohn Legal in Manhattan, he said New York's law reflects the FDA's concern that CBD is medicinal in nature and must therefore be subjected to rigorous testing by the FDA to determine its safety levels before allowing its introduction into food items. These tests have not yet taken place, at least not sufficiently to satisfy the FDA. Food items cannot include CBD, and until the FDA has weighed in on the CBD-infused edibles, many states are reluctant to do so on their own. So that's where things stand with CBD in New York. Still a little ways to go with CBD and the edibles, and how long the FDA and other government agencies are going to do all this, your guess is as good as mine. If I had to put a number on it, I say a long time. This next story is from news4jax.com out of Florida. Florida recreational marijuana supporters fire back. Yes. I don't know if that's officially a marijuana pun. It could be. It just depends on your leanings when it comes to that issue. Supporters of a proposed constitutional amendment that would allow Floridians to use recreational marijuana are firing back against legal objections raised by Attorney General Ashley Moody in the State, House, and Senate. Lawmakers for the political committee Make It Legal Florida filed a 51-page brief earlier this week, urging the Florida Supreme Court to sign off on the proposed amendment. Filing came 2 weeks after the lawyers for Moody, the House and Senate argued that the Supreme Court should reject the amendment, at least in part because it would inform voters that marijuana remains illegal under federal law. Make It Legal Florida said, however, that their opponents are raising policy-driven criticisms that are not a basis for the Supreme Court to reject the proposed amendment. Justices review ballot titles and summaries, the parts of amendments that voters will see when they go to the polls, to make sure they meet legal tests and are not misleading. Monday's brief said the proposed ballot summaries, quote, silence as if the federal law is not misleading because the amendment could never change federal law. Ballot summaries need not disclose legal impossibilities. Make It Legal Florida, of course, initially hoped to put the recreational marijuana measure on the November ballot, with a February 1st deadline for petition signatures nearing. Committee this month announced it has shifted its efforts to the 2022 election. The committee said it would continue pursuing Supreme Court approval for the proposed ballot wording, which includes those over 21 years or older be able to possess, use, purchase, display, and transport up to 2.5 ounces of marijuana and marijuana accessories for personal use for any reason. So the battle continues in Florida as well. Just a lot going on. We were hoping to track, an actual campaign in 2020, but instead they may be mired in court battles for a little while, and that has been moved back, as I said, to 2022, and we'll cover it then, because that's what we do. Cover cannabis news. This next story, last but not least, is from thehill.com. We go back up to New York. Cuomo calls for legalizing taxing marijuana in his budget plan. Released a budget online Tuesday. Proposed legalizing and taxing marijuana. The move shows he plans to make good on a promise he made just 2 weeks earlier at the annual State of the State address, where he pledged to make marijuana legal in 2020. The plan released, Cuomo said he wants to create a new Office of Cannabis Management to oversee medicinal or medical adult use and hemp programs. Under the proposal, adults over 21 will be able to legally purchase marijuana at retailers licensed by that office. The state will establish a global cannabis and hemp center for science, research, and education within the State University of New York system. The plan also will correct past harms to individuals and communities that have been disproportionately been impacted by prohibition. We don't want to talk about the tax revenue. Of course, we heard a lot about this last year and trying to include it in the budget, so don't hold your breath. Obviously, things may have changed this year. We're another year advanced into the discussion, so it has a better shot. But as we've seen on New York last year and New Jersey last year and Connecticut and other places, it's not a done deal, especially not in New York, but they're going to go down that path again. And that's what you have to keep doing. If it doesn't work, you regroup next year and you start it all over. Get it done. Will this be the year that the New York legislature passes adult use legalization? That remains to be seen. I know one thing for sure, we'll cover it right here on Cannabis News. We're here 5 days a week. Find us on marijuanatimes.org or by searching the Marijuana Times on YouTube or Vimeo or Apple Podcasts. Thank you to Nature Side, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Thanks to all of you who like and comment and watch and listen and share the truth about cannabis with this show. Thanks for watching and listening today. We'll see you next time right here on Cannabis News.